I want to talk to you about a small orange pill that sits in the nightstand drawer of more men over 65 than anyone is willing to admit. Most of those men got that pill the same way I did. A quick conversation with a doctor, a prescription written in about 4 minutes. A pharmacist who handed over the bag without making eye contact. And zero, I mean absolutely zero, honest information about what was actually going to happen. Not what the commercial tells you, not what the pamphlet says. What actually happens to a 70-year-old man in a real situation, with real expectations sitting on both sides of the bed. I am going to tell you what I wish someone had told me, because the story I'm about to share is not the story of a pill that did not work. It is the story of a pill that worked exactly as advertised and still managed to make things worse. My name does not matter. What matters is that I am 73 years old. I spent 35 years working in manufacturing in Indiana. I was married to the same woman for 38 years. Dorothy passed from heart failure in 2019. 2 years after losing her, I found myself in a place I had not expected to be. Not depressed, not hopeless, just awake again. Feeling things again, wanting things again. And one of the things I was wanting was something I had assumed was behind me. I went to my doctor for my annual checkup. He is a practical man, does not waste words. I told him, and it took everything I had to say it, that I was having some difficulty in that area. I did not use the clinical word. I said, things are not working the way they used to. He nodded, did not look up from his notepad. Said, very common at your age. We can try something. 4 minutes later, I had a prescription. I want you to think about that for a moment. 4 minutes. No conversation about what to expect. No conversation about the psychological side of this. No conversation about what it actually feels like to use this medication for the first time at 70 years old after years of absence from that part of life. Just very common. We can try something and a piece of paper. I filled the prescription. I brought the bottle home. I put it in the nightstand drawer. And then I did not touch it for 6 weeks. 6 weeks is a long time to think about a small bottle. I thought about it in the morning when I opened the drawer for my watch. I thought about it at night when I turned off the lamp. I thought about it on Sunday afternoons when the house was very quiet and the particular loneliness of being a 70-year-old man alone was loudest. The bottle had become something larger than itself. It was not just medication anymore. It was a decision, a declaration of intent, a statement about who I still was and what I still wanted and whether I had the right to want it. I had not expected a prescription to carry that much weight. But at 70, after 38 years with one woman, after 2 years of grief, everything carries weight. Even a small orange pill in a white plastic bottle that cost me $14 at the pharmacy. Not because I did not want to use it, because I did not know how to think about it. There was something about that bottle that made everything feel different than I had imagined. I had pictured, and I think most men picture this, that the pill would simply restore something, return things to the way they were, wind the clock back. Sitting in my bedroom, looking at that nightstand drawer, I realized I had never actually thought through what that would mean in practice. Who was I going to call? What was I going to say? And underneath all of that, question I could not quite bring myself to look at directly. Was I doing something wrong? Dorothy had been gone 2 years, and I was standing in the bedroom we had shared for 38 years, holding a prescription for a pill that was designed to take me somewhere she could no longer go with me. Nobody had mentioned that part. Not my doctor, not the pamphlet, not the commercial with the couple in the side-by-side bathtubs. Eventually, I met a woman through my church. Her name was Patricia. She had lost her husband 3 years before I lost Dorothy, and we understood each other in the particular way that only people who have been through that kind of loss can. After a few months of seeing each other, the evening came when I took the pill. 60 minutes before, the way the instructions said, I sat in my kitchen and I watched the clock like I was waiting for something to happen to me rather than something I had chosen. And here is where I need to tell you the truth that nobody tells you in 4 minutes at a doctor's office. The pill worked mechanically, physically. It did what it was designed to do, but the experience of being intimate with Patricia that night was not what I had hoped for. Not because of anything she did. Not because of anything my body did. Because of what was in my head. There was a self-consciousness I had not anticipated. An awareness of the medication. An awareness that what was happening was being assisted. That spontaneity, the thing that makes intimacy feel like intimacy rather than a scheduled event, had been replaced by a 60-minute countdown and a clinical awareness of my own body that felt nothing like desire. I was present and I was absent at the same time. There in the room, but also watching myself from a distance. Performing a version of something rather than actually experiencing it. Afterward, Patricia held my hand and she said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Yes, fine." Because that is what men of my generation say. I drove home that night with a feeling I could not name. Not disappointment exactly, not failure. Something closer to grief. Like I had gone looking for something I used to have and found a copy of it instead. The weeks after that night was strange. Patricia called the next day. She was warm. She said she had a good time. She asked when she would see me again, and I said the right things. Soon, of course, looking forward to it. But I was already retreating. Not from her, from the whole situation, from the version of myself that had sat in the kitchen watching a clock and called it desire. I put the bottle back in the drawer. I told myself I needed more time. More time to what exactly? I could not have said. But that is what we tell ourselves when the honest answer is too uncomfortable to look at. The honest answer was this. I had expected the pill to solve something that was not actually a physical problem. I had expected a medical solution to what was really an emotional adjustment. And when the pill did its job and the emotional adjustment had not happened, I did not know what to do with that. Nobody had told me to expect it. That is the part I keep coming back to. And I want to be clear about something before I go any further. I am not here to tell you that medication is wrong. I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. And for many men, that prescription is genuinely helpful in ways that matter deeply to their lives. What I am here to tell you is what I wish someone had told me before I walked out of that doctor's office with a piece of paper and no preparation for the actual experience of using it. The first thing nobody told me is that the medication addresses one part of a much larger picture. It addresses the physical mechanics. It does not address the grief that may still be sitting in the room with you. It does not address the guilt of being with someone near. It does not address the self-consciousness of feeling medically assisted. It does not address the 30 years of expectations you have built around what intimacy is supposed to feel like. All of those things are still there. The pill does not touch them. The second thing nobody told me is that the planning changes everything. Intimacy at its best is unplanned. It arrives naturally. It follows the rhythm of two people who are comfortable with each other. When you introduce a 60-minute window, when you're watching the clock instead of the person across from you, something essential is lost. This is not a flaw in the medication. This is just a reality of how intimacy actually works versus how we imagine it will work when we are sitting in a doctor's office asking for help. The third thing nobody told me is that the first time is almost never the whole story. I know men who tried the medication once, hadn't experienced something like mine, and put the bottle back in the drawer permanently. Decided it was not for them. Retreated back into a life without the dimension. And I understand that choice. I came close to making it myself. But I also know now, 3 years on, that the first time was not representative. That it takes time to find the right version of the medication, the right dosage, the right circumstances, and most importantly, the right mindset. The mindset that says, this is not a performance, this is not a test. This is just two human beings trying to find their way back to something that is worth finding. Patricia and I are still together, and that surprised me more than anything else in this story. It took time. It took honesty, the kind that is very hard to have when you're a man of my generation sitting across from a woman you care about, trying to explain what is happening inside you. But we had it, slowly, imperfectly, in the way that people our age do things when we have finally stopped pretending that we are supposed to have it all figured out. And what we have now, 3 years in, at 73 and 69, is not what I had with Dorothy. It is not supposed to be, but it is real, and it is mine. And there are mornings when I wake up and I think, I almost let one hard night take this from me. So here is what I want to leave you with. Echo. If you're thinking about having that conversation with your doctor, have it. You have every right to it. After everything you have been through, after everything you have carried, you deserve an honest conversation about your own body and your own options. But walk in prepared. Ask the questions your doctor may not think to answer. Ask what the actual experience is like. Ask about the psychological adjustment, not just the physical mechanics. Ask what realistic expectations look like for a man your age coming back to this after loss and time and everything that comes with both. And when you walk out with that prescription, if you walk out with it, understand that the pill is one piece, just one. The rest of it is patience with yourself, with the process. Okay, with the person across from you who is navigating their own version of the same complicated thing. You're not too old for this. You're not broken. You're not asking for too much. You're a man who still has something to give and still deserves to receive something in return. That has not changed. It will not change. Reclaim your patience. Reclaim your honesty. Reclaim the right to walk into that conversation. with your doctor, with yourself, with whoever is waiting on the other side, without shame and without impossible expectations. Just the truth, just the next step, just you. If this conversation reached something in you, if you have been sitting with this alone and nobody has spoken to it plainly, subscribe to this channel. More of these conversations are coming. Hit the like button so other men like us can find this. And leave me a comment. Did you have that conversation with your doctor? Did he give you 4 minutes and a prescription and nothing else? Or did someone actually prepare you for what came next? Tell me what happened. I am reading every single one.